community meeting. My name is Willow Russell. I will be the meeting facilitator today. And on behalf of our entire team, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I know that there's a lot going on in our community and our world at the moment, and it means a lot that you've taken the time and that we really just appreciate your interest in this project. Before we dive in to the presentation, I want to just take a moment to talk about this virtual space that we're in. We're using Zoom for the first time for this project, and so we want to make sure that you have the best experience possible. We also know that the Coal Creek area, there are people who live and work and play in that area that come from diverse communities. And so we are providing captioning in 7 different languages today. We'll be providing captioning in English, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Chinese, Korean, Spanish, Russian, and Vietnamese. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how to access those captions. We are also providing ASL interpreters. We have 2 wonderful interpreters with us today, Lori and Sarah, and I will be showing you how to optimize your view of them in a moment as well. I'll also be sharing how you can ask questions during today's presentation. And then finally, I just want to let you know that if you are running into any technical issues, you can call my colleague Will. The number here is on the screen. It's 206-922-6271. You can also use the Q&A chat function, which I'm going to introduce you to in just a moment. So just to walk you through how to use closed captioning, all you need to do is click on the closed caption icon at the bottom of your screen. You will get a pop-up menu, and you just need to click Show Subtitle, and then you'll get captions for today's meeting. And if you would like to use, the translated option, so getting live captions translated for you, you can click on the chat box, and in the chat window, you'll see a link. Just click on that link. It'll take you to a separate web page, and you can select the language that you would like to get your captions in. And just so you know, this chat feature is one way. We're just broadcasting information out to you. You can't chat back. I also want to talk about optimizing your screen for ASL interpretation. You can go to the top of your screen, click on View Options, and select Side-by-Side Mode. This is what that will look like on your screen here. Once you click on side-by-side mode, you should be able to see both Sarah and Lori, our ASL interpreters, on the right-hand side. This is just these are sample images. This isn't Sarah and Lori, excuse me. And then if you would like to make the window bigger so you can see Sarah and Lori easier, you just click on this bar here and drag it to the left, and that will make screen bigger so that you can see the presentation and the ASL interpreters at the same time. I also want to introduce the Q&A portion of our meeting, which will be at the end of the presentation. Currently, all of our attendees are in listen mode rather, meaning that you are muted, and that's just to reduce the background noise for our presenters. But you can ask questions at any point during the presentation using the Q&A button down here, and that will open up a little panel on the side, and you can just type your questions in. We will be answering as many questions as we can today live, but we will be answering all questions in the meeting summary, which will be posted online. So even if we don't get to your question today, we will get to it after today's meeting. So with all of those technical details out of the way, I want to introduce today's presenters, Liz Matson, who's the project manager from King County, Ron Bard, the project manager from Brown and Caldwell, and Monica Vandevieren, who's with Community Services at King County. And now I'm going to pass the virtual mic over to Liz Matson, who will be introducing the project. And Liz, you now have remote control.
Okay, hello everybody. Waiting, okay. Hi, I am Liz Matson. I'm King County's project manager for the Coal Creek Sewer Upgrade Project that we'll be talking about today. You may have met me last year at some of the in-person community meetings we held. So today's meeting is just one of 2 webinars we are hosting about the Coal Creek Sewer Upgrade Project. This is a very large project with lots of different elements that we know people will have questions about. There are opportunities coming up for you to provide input, and our team wants to make sure you have the information you need to understand this project and to participate. So because this is such a challenging time to do project outreach, we are creating multiple ways for the community to get up-to-date information, to ask questions, and get feedback. Monica will be talking about upcoming outreach at the end of this presentation. So today's meeting is going to cover 1, some background information on King County Wastewater Treatment Division, and then 2, why King County needs to do this project, and then 3, how we will build the project, which will be covered by Ron, and then 4, how we will restore the trailhead, which will be covered by Monica. On June 23rd, you can also join us for our second meeting that focuses on how we will protect the natural area during construction and to restore the environment. So first, I would like to introduce you to King County Wastewater Treatment Division. You'll probably hear us call it WTD for short. So just for context, on this map here, this is the entire region that King County WTD serves. So this is the north part of King County, this is Snohomish County, and then this is the south, this is Pierce County on this end over here. So King County WTD is a regional wastewater treatment provider. And this map shows the area that we serve. So we provide regional wastewater treatment to 17 cities and 17 sewer districts. We operate pump stations and pipes that get wastewater from your area to a regional treatment plant. West Point right here is the treatment plant that serves this area in green. Brightwater over here is the treatment plant that serves this kind of teal area. And then South Treatment Plant down here in Renton serves this entire purple area. And this is the plant where the water from Bellevue and Newcastle go. We also operate 2 local treatment plants at Carnation over here and on Vashon Island. Overall, we treat about an average of 180 million gallons a day, but that number can go much higher when it rains. So it can be really hard to imagine big numbers like 180 million gallons. So this might help you get an idea of how much wastewater is treated by our treatment plants every day. It's enough water to fill 3.6 million bathtubs every day, if you can imagine that many bathtubs. So here is a picture of South Plant in Renton, where your wastewater gets treated. Because your city collects your wastewater, you may not have known that King County provides wastewater treatment. So the water that you use at home, school, or businesses, after it's used, travels through your small side sewer pipe and goes to the city of Bellevue sewer system. Bellevue's sewer system is like a system of city streets. And then King County's system is like a highway where all of the streets lead. It's the little pipes that lead to all the big pipes that the county manages. These highway pipes take the wastewater to the treatment plants around the region. So now that you know who King County WTD is, I'm going to show you why we need to build this project. So here you are looking at an aerial view of the Coal Creek natural area where the north is to the top here. The northern part of the Coal Creek pipe runs along the banks of Coal Creek, crossing the stream in some places. The red line that you can see here is the current pipeline. And then this blue line is the creek, so you can see how they kind of follow each other. The Coal Creek trunk was built in the 60s and 70s, 1960s and 70s to be clear, during a 10-year construction effort to build a regional wastewater system. The Coal Creek trunk pipe runs all the way from Newcastle, which is south of this figure here, up all the way to, this is I-405 here. And right before it empties into this pipe, the east side intersection. interceptor, which is like the highway that carries the wastewater to South Plant and Renton. You may be wondering why there's a pipe along a creek in a park. Well, this is in part due to the fact that this pipe was built a long time ago before there was the park and the trail system existed. For the designers at the time, this was a really sustainable thing to do because the system was able to use gravity to collect wastewater down at the low point of the ravine, which saved on equipment, energy, and labor costs. This figure here shows the population growth in the Bellevue area. As you know, there's been a lot of development in the Bellevue area, adding more houses and businesses that are sending flows to the sewer system. You can see that Bellevue's population really begins to climb in 1940 after the Lake Washington floating bridge opens, and the Bellevue and Newcastle areas are so much more easily accessible to the Seattleites. Growth continues rapidly in the 1960s, as you can see, and is still climbing today. So King County needs to do this project because the pipe doesn't have enough capacity to support this growing into the future. At the county, we monitor both pipe flows and population growth, and we start projects like these when we see that the pipe might not be large enough in the future to meet the needs of the community. Right now, this part of the Coal Creek sewer doesn't have enough capacity to meet the King County pipe size standards, and there's currently a 50% probability that the pipe could overflow to the creek in any given year, which is something we really don't want to happen. But development isn't the only reason that the pipes start to fill up. We also lose some pipe capacity to old pipes that develop leaks. What you can see here is what the pipes look like during both dry weather flow or normal flow on the left side and during large storms or peak flow on the right side. In both cases, the water that drains from homes, schools, and businesses travels down the side sewer to the local sewer to the pipe. If the sewers were in perfect condition, we would have the same flow in dry weather and in big storms. However, if the pipes are not maintained well, when they can get cracked and groundwater can seep into them. This then fills the pipe in large storms with water that is not actually wastewater. Leaky sewers are not just taking up space in pipes. There's also additional costs to pump this clean water to a treatment plant and then treat it. So if you are a homeowner, you can really help save capacity in our pipes and control costs by periodically inspecting and maintaining your side sewer so that we can keep groundwater out of the pipes. So besides providing more capacity in the pipes, this project really gives us an opportunity to find a better location for the pipe and get it out of the natural area. Due to its unfortunate current location, we have had to carry out several projects to repair and stabilize the creek banks after large floods have exposed the pipe. So far, this has happened at least 4 times. In all those times, the pipe has stayed intact, but it is at risk every time the bank erodes. Right here, you can see like the pipe erosion and how steep the side bank gets. On the left, you can see where the pipe was eroded in here in 2015. And then over in this picture, on the upper right, you can see the extensive damage that was caused after a major flood to this bridge and to the trail system. This white thing here is the pipe that has become exposed, actually. Our team looked at this pipe upsizing as an opportunity to move the pipe away from the creek, protecting both the pipe and the creek. So this improved design will really help reduce long-term costs for our ratepayers. We are currently dealing with an example of why we need a new pipe location right now. So there was some large flooding back in December of 2019 that eroded the creek bank by this maintenance hole structure. You can see how this structure is now exposed to the creek instead of being protected by the creek bank. And just for context, the pipe comes underneath the creek here and then flows up the side here. The large rains and floods in the December 2019 event also filled the sediment pond by the Upper West Trailhead, which is just downstream of here, and many of you may have used that parking lot. So this is just another view of the maintenance hole structure from the other side of the creek. But this is during much lower flows. You can see the water is a lot shallower and narrower. Our facilities inspection crews have been monitoring the structure since these December floods. And in this picture, you can see one of our employees going to measure the ground cover above the pipe and around the maintenance hole structure. There's been enough erosion around this structure that we need to do a temporary project to protect the maintenance hole until the larger project is finished. This summer, we will be completing a project to shore up the bank. This structure here and the pipe will eventually be removed when our new project is in place. This smaller project is in environmental review right now, and you have a chance to comment on the work if you'd like. You can find links on our project website to find and review the environmental documents and provide comments. So shown here is the current schedule for the entire sewer upgrade project. We are currently in final design at a stage we call 60% design right here. But as you can see, design started back in 2018. Because this project is located in a sensitive area, both the permitting and the environmental review for this project are very complex. And design will not be complete until after we receive all of the project permits. After design is complete, there's a period when the contract goes out to bid, which I'm showing here in 2022. But we still have a couple years before our construction is going to begin. And once it starts, we expect it to take about 4 years from start to finish. This summer and fall of 2020, permitting and environmental review will be underway for the entire project. And we will let people know when you are able to comment. As you can see from the schedule here, the community outreach goes on throughout the project, and Monica will talk a little bit more about that, about how you can get information and participate during the reviews. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ron Barg now, who's going to talk about what we're building and how to build it. So I'm going to hand that back.
Thanks, Liz. This is Ron Barg. I'm the project manager for the consultant team. I work with Brown and Caldwell, and I'm leading the design team to help design the project for King County. So one of the things I'm going to talk about today is what we're designing, what we're building, how we're going to build it, and what some of the impacts are. And I'm going to start with this graphic here, which is very similar to the aerial view that Liz showed you earlier. This tells what we're building. The existing pipe is this red dashed line, if you follow my virtual laser pointer here. And then the new pipe is the black line right along to the right of that. So there's about 10,000 feet of pipe in total. 8,000 feet of that will replace the North Coal Creek trunk sewer, and about 2,800 feet of pipe will connect the local system to the new pipe. The local system now connects to the existing pipe. We're moving the new pipe over quite a bit, so that requires a fair number of new connection pipes to go from one to the other. I'm going to talk now in a little bit more about each work area, and we've changed the orientation of this map so we can have it be a little bit bigger. You'll notice these maps, the arrow, the north arrow is to the left. So it's rotated 90 degrees from the other one. This is the south work area. This is where most of the construction work will take place throughout the project and where the entry point for our tunneling operation is. The other couple of things that happen here is there's pipe connections and along here, and pipe connections from the existing pipeline into the new one. This is where the entry pit is located and where the tunneling will start and where the tunnel boring machine will feed pipe into this new tunnel section that goes along here to the exit pit right here. This is a view, a cross-section of the earth showing the underground or trenchless construction method that much of the project will be incorporating. There's houses and trees for scale up here. This green area is the earth, and then this black pipeline is the main pipeline, and it's trenchless from the entry point over here to the exit point. There's a little bit more beyond that where there are some local connections and some open cut pipe. So I want to talk a little bit about construction sequence for trenchless. This is a representation of how the trenchless construction will work. This, in the center of the photograph, is the entry pit. The tunnel boring machine is just beyond out in the soil somewhere here. And then this is the new casing pipe that we're installing where sections get welded together. The tunnel boring machine excavates the earth, and this unit here pulls the pipe into the soil and moves the trenchless tunneling machine along. This is a blow-up view of that part of the tunnel machine that clamps onto the tunnel pipeline and pushes it forward to advance the tunnel boring machine. The excavated material at the head of the tunnel boring machine removes the soil and carries it to the entry pit where the soil and the drilling fluid are separated apart, and the drilling fluid is recycled in. The excavated material is hauled off site. The tunnel machine installs this steel casing pipe, but that's not the actual sewer itself. That's shown on the next figure here. You can see on the left photo this outside rim of darker material. That's a steel casing pipe, and this white pipe is the sewer pipe, which is a heavy-duty plastic pipe that goes inside that, and that's where the sewage actually flows. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the connections we need to make in the different areas. This is a central area of the project, and there's several tubes, Bellevue sewer pipes that come down and used to connect into the existing pipe, one here, and then one over here a little bit further. And we need to reconnect those now to the new pipe. So there would be two surface pipes installed by open cut trenching that will be out in the Coal Creek Parkway roadway. And then those will connect together into a short section of a trenchless pipe that's installed by a microtunnel, and that goes from here and then connects into our larger tunnel pipe here. So the North Fork area, this is where the exit pit is for the trenchless, the main trenchless component of the pipe. And then this yellow line is open cut trenching to connect into the east side interceptor, which Liz mentioned earlier, and that goes to the south treatment plant. There are some residential pipes that need to be reconnected along the Woodson condominium complex here and down along 125th Avenue, right where my laser pointer is going. Those are some individual connections. We'll be reconnecting those into our new pipeline located here. There will also be, I'll come back to the south area now, into the natural area, and talk about the connections that will be done there. There are several City of Bellevue pipelines that come down the hill to connect into the existing pipeline all throughout this area here. We'll be keeping those in place, but reconnecting them to the new pipeline. This pipeline in yellow here is, again, an open cut pipeline. It will be installed along the existing trail that's there beyond the parking lot. And there'll be some work in the creek bank along here to stabilize that. And also there'll be a retaining wall just uphill of the new open cut trench pipe to support the hillside and allow construction access to go through this narrow area. So in the north area, the connections will be made by going through part of that area. We'll be going through a wetland area, which are these two photos here, show that. This is open cut trenching, and this is the stuff you've seen alongside the roadways if you're watching. It's where a contractor uses an excavator to dig a trench, puts these steel sheets in to support the sides of the trench, puts a pipe at the bottom, and then backfills up to the finished grade. In this particular case, you can see some of the protective measures that are used to protect this wetland area. These steel sheets. This is a little bit different than what we'll be using, but similar. And once we're done with the construction, we'll take all that out and restore the wetland and do some enhancements. So the construction duration, as Liz mentioned, the total duration for the project is 4 years. And that's a long time, but we have a lot of pipeline to put in. The most extensive work is in the Upper West Trailhead area, which is expected to be closed for about 3 years. Tunneling itself will take 2 years, and then some of the connection pipes that are up in that area take about another year. Work that's done in the creek here and further south, there's 2 locations where you have work below the high water line in the creek. And there are regulated timeframes for when that work can occur. In this particular area for these streams, that's in the summer. So all of that work will occur during the summer, and that does affect the schedule, how the schedule fits together, and it extends it a little bit in this particular case. Also, the work hours that we're allowed to use will affect the overall duration. Longer work hours mean the construction length is reduced, the length of time that it takes to do the construction. Also, the connections and the restoration extend the schedule, so all of that leads up to the 4-year activity that we were talking about earlier. So some of the other impacts in the Upper West Trailhead, not only will the trailhead and part of the trail be closed for 3 years, but there's just south of the parking lot, there's a wide spot in the creek that was built and designed to capture sediment so that it doesn't impact downstream portions of the creek. And the picture in the right-hand side there shows City of Bellevue going in last year and removing that sediment. They do that every year. So even though our construction activities will take place in the same general area, we'll configure them such that we'll allow this important City of Bellevue activity to take place every year as well. So the trail access during construction will be restricted. We'll be closing the parking lot and the trail, but we will be providing an alternate detour trail. We'll be working with the City of Bellevue's, with the City of Bellevue using their well-kept program to install a detour trailhead, a trail that bypasses the work area. And although the main parking lot will be closed, we'll be working with the City of Bellevue to identify alternate parking at trailheads to reduce the impact. So there will be impacts on Coal Creek Parkway itself. There are those couple of areas where we're building pipe in the street. One is right here. This is at the entrance to the trailhead parking lot. And this shows some construction we did for utility marking in the summer, so the traffic is quite heavy, and you can see it backing up here. It's worse during the rush hour, and while we try to limit the amount of activity that happens during rush hour traffic, there will be some. We try to do most of it during non-rush hour periods. There will also, in addition to the construction in the roadway, there'll be lane closures for truck entrance and exits and heavy equipment delivery and oversized load delivery, both here and at the north end. And there's also traffic impacts at the central section. As I said before, this area here will be actually installing pipe in the roadway itself. So there'll be some lane closures when that occurs. And then the microtunneling, both pits for the microtunneling require some grading work that will impact traffic as well. microtunneling itself is underground and won't impact traffic. Again, just to reiterate some of the stuff we talked about earlier on the south end at the parking lot, this yellow pipe is where we'll be connecting the city of Bellevue laterals, but this other yellow pipe here connects the existing south Coal Creek trunk, which is here. Does not need to be upsized. We'll be connecting that and routing that over to our new pipeline. So some of this construction is in the street as well. So traffic control options for reducing the impacts to Coal Creek Parkway is we'll work in phases. We try to do work off hours or using extended hours to reduce the duration. And the contractor will be developing a very detailed traffic control plan that he'll submit to the city of Bellevue based on the requirements of our specifications in our project. And we'll be conveying that information to you once construction starts of what the impacts are and when they will occur. And if there's anything that's unexpected, we'll do broadcast alerts to let you know what to expect there. So it's very important to us to protect the environment, and there'll be a number of construction controls that will be in place for both water quality, air quality, traffic impacts, and noise and light impacts. We'll be talking more about the impacts of the natural area on our June 23rd meeting, as Liz has mentioned. And now I want to turn this over to Monica, who will talk about some of the natural area upgrades. So you should have control now, Monica.
Okay, I am on. Does it look like I have control? Yes, I do. It's actually following me. Hi, so I am Monica Vanderveeren. I have probably spoken to some of you in this project. I've been on this for a few years now. So I'm going to talk through some of the community elements of this project and what we'll be doing for outreach. We have gotten a couple of questions in, and I'd like to encourage people, if you want to type questions in the Q&A, we'll answer them when we get to the end. If we get too many, as Willow mentioned, then we'll definitely have everything in the meeting summary, but we'll try to answer what we can during this time when we're with you. So I will pick up and talk about trailhead restoration. I do want to acknowledge as a community relations professional, I have worked with people for over a decade, and coming into a lovely new trailhead like this and saying that you're going to take it over for construction can be quite controversial and kind of heartbreaking for people. So this trailhead was a dirt trailhead and was rebuilt as part of the city's culvert replacement project. And it's quite a lovely trailhead. We will be restoring it. So I wanted to start out and reassure you that it is coming back. It will not look like this during construction, and construction never looks pretty, but it will come back and it will be restored to where it is now. So you've got pavement and parking stalls, and you've got a lot of really good green stormwater features here that are helping to protect Coal Creek, right? So we've got pervious pavement at the entrance, there's a rain garden, there's native plant protection buffers so that the runoff from that parking area gets filtered before it gets to the creek. So this will all come back. But it always feels when there's new stuff there and you're going to take it out like we've wasted something. And we don't do that. So in King County, our Strategic Climate Action Plan has pretty rigorous goals for what we are supposed to accomplish, including diverting construction waste from landfills. So our staff wants us to reduce our landfill waste, and they literally want us to divert 85% of usable materials or recyclable materials somewhere else. So we looked at the trailhead and said, what can we do here? And one of the things that we're trying to do is work closely with the city of Bellevue so that if we're going to repurpose, we repurpose in the city. So technically, the rocks that you see on the left, I guess I have a pointer, the landscape rocks, the contractor could technically sell those. But we talked to the city about the potential to use them at alternate sites in the city, so they get repurposed in the city. It isn't cost effective to store them and bring them back, but if we can find other city locations, we can actually use them there, okay? This sign on the right, this is the one you see when you turn into the Red Cedar or Upper West Trailhead. This sign will be stored by the city of Bellevue. They do have space for it, and it will come back. There are a lot of actually really great native plants there. You have a lot of good wildlife in the area, great birds and bees. Those native plants are hosting a lot of wildlife. They can actually be used in people's yards. So we talked to the city of Bellevue about whether they would want the plants, and they said no, but if you can host community plant salvages so people can take them home, that would be great. So that's another plan that we have. We'll do this during the wet season when the plants will transplant better, but it's a way for us to reuse materials locally instead of just composting them and basically throwing them in the trash. So when we do come back and restore, what you will find, Ron showed the spur trail where we will have to make a connection with the city of Bellevue system fairly far down the trail. What we're going to do is create access so we can get a vehicle down to inspect the pipe. Right now, our crews cannot get their equipment far enough to do decent pipe inspections, and that connection will still remain there. So we're removing much of the active pipe away from Coal Creek, but we need to maintain that connection to the city of Bellevue's system. So when we rebuild the trail in this area, it'll be slightly wider and slightly flatter than it is right now, which will make it more accessible. We're also looking at increasing accessibility for people with disabilities. So you don't have to pave to do this because you can make a flat enough surface and an appropriate enough surface that people with mobility issues can actually still navigate the trail and enjoy it. The other thing that we can add to enrich the area and to create it more accessibility for everybody is to work on signage and seating. So we're working very closely with Bellevue Parks Department on this, and we're looking at, if you look on the right side, putting a bank of signage where we can talk about the great natural areas. So the city has a signage program, and we're working to make this consistent with theirs. And they talk a lot as you go down the trail about the human history of the area and how it's affected the environment. And so this gives us an opportunity at the trailhead where we can talk about the natural area. The city will also be adding some educational signage about stormwater runoff and how it affects the creek. The other thing we can do is we can add some seating. So currently there's no place to just go and hang out at the trailhead and enjoy the creek and enjoy the birds. There was a big salmon release last fall in the creek, and it was a great thing to watch. So in the future, there'll be seating. You'll be able to sit there and watch the salmon swim by, which was really fascinating. I have to say, I enjoyed the afternoon off of work, watching salmon swim upstream. So we will be adding these features, and what we will be doing is coming out and working with the community on what this looks like. So we talked about impacting forests and streams. We will be, and I just want to be frank about that. We will need to take trees down. We will be affecting vegetation and doing in-stream work. This is important enough to the community that we're having an entire separate meeting on June 23rd to talk about that. And our environmental planner, Jacob Shepard, will be talking you through, first of all, how we're going to protect the creek during construction and the environment in general. And then what restoration is going to look like and what sort of the concepts of restoration will be. So Jacob will be going through that on the 23rd. And then I'm going to switch gears and talk about outreach. It is really a difficult time to be working with our communities, obviously, because we usually, King County puts a premium on public outreach and in-person public outreach. So we go to farmers markets, we host events. I've had literally living room and kitchen meetings with people. We're on your streets. We try to really meet one-on-one with people and have conversations and spend time walking people through things. And we had great plans until the COVID situation hit. Right now, we can't do that. However, we will have public comment periods on permits. We will have environmental review coming up. So we're really looking for meaningful ways to continue interacting with you and to get your questions answered and to make sure that you have the information you need to participate until we can actually meet in person, take you for a walk down the trail and talk through the project like we would normally have done. So what we're doing now is this remote meeting, and we'll have another remote meeting. If you have things you would like us to do, just contact me. My contact information is on the web, and let us know if you have ideas. Okay, so we really want to make sure that we're meeting your needs. We are happy to do remote briefings with community groups and organizations. We can definitely even do remote video chats with you. You are welcome to call me up. We can email. Because our whole mission is focused around public health, we really want to protect our community's health during this time. So we're not going to have gatherings, but it doesn't mean that we're not there for you. And we will find a way to actually actively work with you. We do have a project webpage that's been up for several years. We just sent out a newsletter. We'll be sending out more newsletters because mail is a safe thing to do for us. And we will continue to do electronic updates. We're having virtual meetings, and then we will be posting an online open house. It will have some of the same information that you're getting in these meetings. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions and give input. And throughout that whole period, you're welcome to call if there's anything you don't understand. We can talk it through. If you can't find anything online, call me and we will get you the information you need. We also recognize people sometimes just want to get hard copies in the mail. Call me up, we'll get things in the mail for you. So we really want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need however you need it. So definitely help us out. We'll give you a post-meeting survey, okay, and then contact us. The other thing we want to offer to people, and we've already been doing this for some Bellevue community members, is if it's easier for you to discuss the project in depth through a language interpreter, we are happy to provide that service. So we've been doing this already with community members. It's hard enough, even if I'm speaking English and you're speaking English, sometimes it's hard enough to get through on projects like this and to really cover some of these issues in depth. So we would like to offer that service. We can also offer American Sign Language, which we have in this meeting today. So we want to make sure that you're using the language that works best for you for us to discuss the project. But definitely help us by filling out that survey. We do have, I know everybody hates surveys, I'm not fond of them myself, but this does help us give you better service. And we have a second meeting, so you have a chance to give us some input before the next meeting so that we can take your input and utilize it next time. Again, we've got the website that's up. It's got my contact information. There is all of our documentation goes onto this website. So there is a library, we have a translation page where everything that we translated is present. So you'll find all these materials. They will stay for the life of the project and they will be available afterwards. So you can always follow the history. If you've missed anything, it is on the web. If you have any difficulty navigating, email or call me and I will help you get through that. And so again, the next webinar is on June 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. You already have the routine right now. So you will get some repetition because we'll have some different crowd on that one. You'll get some repetition from Liz, but Jacob is going to take most of the talk to talk about protection of the natural area and restoration afterward. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Willow. There we go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Monica. And We do have some questions already, which is wonderful. The first question is for Ron. And Ron, this is from Betty. And her question is, could you please describe the specific locations of the local sewers that will need to be connected to the new trunk sewer in the central part of the project? And will they be constructed by open cut trenching or by tunneling? And Ron, I'm sure it would be helpful for you to have access to a map. So let me give you control of the pointer again.
Yeah, and could you switch it to slide 34 as well? I think
I sure can.
I can, and then give me the pointer and I can answer this question.
Absolutely. Ron, I'm sorry, you'll have to give me back control just for a moment and then I will make that change.
Yeah, I never took control.
Okay, great. Let me, slide 34 you said, right?
Yes.
Great.
So that's a great question. So I'll repeat some of what I've said here. Just to put ourselves in a location here, those of you that know the area well, there's where my pointer is now, there's a small gate that goes down to this little service access road that's operated by Seattle Public Utilities for a water line. So that kind of puts you in the kind of a location of where this is. But there is an existing City of Bellevue lateral that comes down, if you follow my pointer, to right along here to the existing pipeline. That particular one will be intercepting that on the concrete sidewalk, which is on the east side of the street, and then we'll be coming out into the street and building this new pipeline that is open cut trenching and is as far to the west as we can get it while missing the utilities that are there. Then the other City of Bellevue lateral comes down where my pointer is now to this location here, and we'll be picking this up on the west side of the street and doing an open cut pipeline up to this point here. This one is much more on probably under the bikeway, so we'll be taking a lane of traffic out when we're doing that project. And this isn't exactly what you asked, but if you're asking about traffic impacts, where this entrance pit is for the microtunnel and where the exit pit for the microtunnel here, we'll be doing some grading alongside the edge of the road. So most of that grading will be able to be taking place while the road is open, but when we're first starting, there'll be some road closures there. So hopefully that answered that question. If it hasn't, do a follow-up question and I'll answer some more.
Great, thank you so much, Ron.
Okay.
All right, and we have another question. And Ron, do you mind? I think you might need to relinquish control of the pointer again.
I did, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. Here we go. I think it was just taking a moment to come back to me.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a lag there.
All right. So we have another question. This is also from Betty. This is for you, Monica. Have you identified the location of the alternate trailhead parking areas? For example, are you planning to expand the existing trailhead parking lot on the south side of Forest Drive, just east of the Coal Creek Parkway? And I'm happy to give you control of the mouse if you want to access a map.
No, that's fine. I can answer the question even on the slide we're on.
Great.
So there are several alternate trailheads now. Obviously, this one is big and popular. We are working with the City of Bellevue. They have looked at a proposal to potentially enlarge the Forest Drive area. That depends on some land exchange and other issues. So we're looking at that possibility to restore some of the parking that you would have at the trailhead. So we will be putting in, as Ron mentioned, a trail detour around that you would be able to access from that area. So a trail detour that will get you around our construction site. We just got that signed off through Bellevue Council. We have an agreement with Bellevue, so they are doing the design and construction. As we mentioned, it's through their WellCap, their youth employment program. It's a way for us to kind of give it back to the city. So if there is a possibility, we may be able to, it may be a separate project that occurs beforehand. We may be able to expand that parking, but there are some things that have to happen on the city side for that to occur. There will be ways to get to the trailhead, and if there is a possibility to restore some extra parking outside of the area, that would be great. The trail detour that we're putting in will stay forever. So it's not a temporary trail detour, just so you know, that will also stay forever. Hopefully that answered that question.
Great, Monica. Betty, if you have a follow-up question, feel free to type it in. And for the moment, we'll move to the next question. And this one's for Ron. When will you have a schedule that identifies when there will be closures on Coal Creek Parkway and when there will be closures on Forest Drive? And let me know if you need control, Ron.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't on that one. Yeah, unfortunately for that, the contractor has to develop his specific traffic control plan to give you any really meaningful answers on that. So that'll happen early in the construction process, but not until a contractor is selected and construction actually starts. And he'll do a traffic control plan. It'll be based on requirements that we provide in our design documents. But the sequencing of exactly how he does the work is largely left up to him. And then when, maybe Monica can follow up on this, but certainly when we're in construction, we'll let the public know exactly what's going on and when it's going on, and provide alerts if there's anything that's unexpected that happens. And that may change, the scheduled times may change throughout construction. 4 years is a long time. Nobody can schedule the whole 4 years all completely, but we'll certainly give you a much better idea what's going on early in the construction process.
Yeah, and I can add, Ron is correct. 4 years is a long time. And in my experience supporting construction, we really need to keep you up to date throughout the process, because there are an amazing number of things that can alter your schedule. So what happens is we will have pre-construction community meetings. Hopefully we're in person and we can host you at the Trailhead or at a building or someplace other than online. But we will walk through what we are given as a construction schedule, and then some variables that can affect that. So, you know, whether things are weather dependent, we may have fish windows where we're not going to be able to do all work in 1 year. So we'll give you kind of the concept and the time frame. Then community services works giving updates throughout construction. We are maintaining a text alert system, and what we're looking at is, can we even get translated text alerts just to make everybody's life a little easier? And so if anything sudden should come up that changes, we will let you know immediately. We also, our community services team is on call 24/7 through construction. So for 4 years, you will be able to get hold of us any time of the day or night. And we do answer calls at night. This is not a trivial thing, and we really do need to be on call 24/7. So anytime during the project, you'll have my regular desk number, but if it's outside business hours, you will have a way to get hold of our team if you have any questions or you're trying to plan ahead. So there's a lot of outreach that will happen throughout construction.
Great. Thank you, Monica and Ron. And Monica, I'm going to stick with you for a moment. We have another time frame question, but this time around plant salvaging. So you mentioned that the plant salvaging will be during the wet season. When will you know the specific time frame?
So part of this will depend on our current COVID situation. Some of the plants, we're working, as I said, closely with City of Bellevue, the Parks Department. Some of those plants can't come out until right before construction because, as I said, they're filtering water from the parking lot that goes to the creek. Some of them can come out earlier. So we will look at a good spring-fall event, and we'll probably have two before construction starts. So we'll do it as close to construction as possible, just to have the plants continue to provide service before construction because they are actually providing habitat function and stormwater control. So it's going to be close to construction in spring, fall, and probably 2 events.
Great. Thank you, Monica. And Ron, I think this question is for you, but Monica, jump in if you want. What process will be used to determine the hours of work at the trailhead, and who will make the decision regarding whether to construct at nighttime? King County, City of Bellevue, the construction contractor, or someone else?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So the final decision, the design team and King County will make a proposal to the City of Bellevue, and that'll be discussed during the one of the many permits that we get from the City of Bellevue. And so they'll make a decision whether we can work at night or not. There will be noise restrictions in either case for what can be done at night, and noise will have to be kept to a certain prescribed limit based on the City of Bellevue noise ordinance. And then ultimately the contractor will make the final decision. So hopefully, or presumably, if we're allowed to work at night, we'll give the contractor that option, and they can always decide, you know what, I don't want to work at night for whatever reason, and then they might decide to work during the daytime only. But basically, the short answer to the question, the City of Bellevue will make the final decision.
Okay, great, Ron. And while we've got you on the spot, I have one more question for you from Albert. What is the size of the new sewer pipe, the size of the casing, and what is the actual size of the tunnel? In other words, the diameter of the tunnel to house the casing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So the size of the sewer pipe, it's a 36-inch diameter, outside diameter plastic sewer pipe. That's the one that goes on the inside, is actually carries the sewage. The size of the casing is 48-inch diameter. And the size of the actual tunnel, the hole in the ground, you might say, is about 2 inches in all directions beyond that. So the tunnel boring machine overcuts the trench a little, or the hole a little bit for the casing to fit in. And then between the casing and the outside diameter of the hole that's cut by the tunnel boring machine is filled with drilling fluid, with mud, that when the tunneling is completed, that solidifies. So there's no gap in there when the construction is finished. I think you're talking about the main part of the tunnel. There's a little, that's a shorter piece of the tunnel that's micro-tunneling. There, the casing size is still 48-inch diameter, but the inside pipe is only 12-inch diameter. The reason for that disparity is that in order to get a tunnel boring machine that's powerful enough, we need a 48-inch diameter casing, even though the inside is only 12-inch diameter. So that's it for that one.
Great. Thank you, Ron. Betty had one quick follow-up question for you. And I don't know if you know the answer to this quite yet, but is there a particular street location for the City of Bellevue sewer laterals that are to the east of the Coal Creek Parkway? The map we have isn't quite specific enough, so I don't know if you know that off the top of the head, but we can certainly follow up later if needed.
I think we need to follow up later. I don't remember. There is no street right there along Coal Creek Parkway. There's a hillside, and then there are streets up on the top. There's a number of cul-de-sacs that are up there, and we can tell you specifically which one of those streets it is. But since it doesn't come down and connect into Coal Creek Parkway there, I don't know that off the top of my head. Okay.
No problem. Thank you, Ron. And we'll definitely make sure that we get that answered later. So we have one last question, but just give me one moment. I think that we have a question about the pond, sediments in the pond, but we may need to answer that later just to get a few more specifics. Monica, does that sound right? We'll answer this after the meeting.
Jacob indicated he could address it.
Okay, Okay, great. Jacob, do you want to take it away? So the question is, will sedimentation pond maintenance be increased because of the increased construction activity?
Sure, I can answer to an extent. In that, as Ron indicated near the beginning of the presentation, City of Bellevue does annual maintenance on their sedimentation pond facilities at kind of a few different spots in the natural area. And the county's responsibility with respect to those ponds is to make sure that Bellevue can continue to maintain those ponds at all times during the project. As to whether there's going to be increased activity or activity about the same as normal is something that's somewhat outside of the scope of what King County is able to do on this project, since those are Bellevue facilities. So if we can get more specificity in the future, we're happy to provide it. In the meantime, that's about as specific as we can get at this phase.
Great. Thank you very much, Jacob. All right. We've come to the end of our list of questions, but I do want to give just another moment or two just to make sure that folks aren't furiously typing to get another question in. All right. Well, we wrapped up a little early, which is good news because it's a beautiful day out there. So hopefully folks are going to get out and enjoy it. We wanted to just thank you again so much for joining us today, for your great questions. Please do fill out the survey that we will be sending out. I believe will be going out tomorrow morning. And do fill out that survey. Let us know how we can better serve you and provide us some feedback on today's meeting. And if you're interested in learning more about the restoration efforts in the Coal Creek Natural Area, do join us on the 23rd. And yes, just want to say thanks again and making sure we have no more questions. Oh, nope, we have just a comment. So thank you, Albert. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.